What's up guys, it's Will back again, and today's review is Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast is a fantasy musical film that was directed by Bill Condon and is a live-action remake of the 1991 animated film of the same name. I'm sure most of you know this story by now, but for those who don't, I'll give you a brief spoiler-free rundown. So Beauty and the Beast takes place in France and primarily follows Belle, played by Emma Watson. Belle is a beautiful, independent, and somewhat headstrong woman who interacts primarily with her father Maurice. But one day her father disappears and she finds him in a mysterious castle inhabited by a beast and some alive household objects due to a curse has been placed on the castle's inhabitants. In order to remove this curse, the beast must learn to love and earn the love of another, and if so, he and his friends will return to their human form. Well, Belle becomes a prisoner of the beast, but before long, she begins to enjoy her stay at the mansion and sparks begin to fly. And the rest of the film is spent watching Belle and the beast continue to gain affection for one another, while we also get a glimpse into the local townspeople who plan to do something about the beast. So look, Beauty and the Beast is an all-time classic, great animated film. The original was released in 1991, and I believe that it still holds up extremely well roughly 26 years later. It's that great of an experience. It's like a cornerstone of every 80s and 90s kid's childhood because there was almost zero chance that you didn't watch Beauty and the Beast at some point as a kid. And because of this, we all wanted this live action remake to be great. And what I'll say about this version of Beauty and the Beast is, it's okay. There's definitely some things to really like about this film, but I think there's also several other things that really weigh it down and keep it from being the great live action remake we were all hoping it would be. And more often than not, the film's strengths and weaknesses are the same thing, just at different points in time. For example, the visuals in this film are at times insanely good and other times pretty underwhelming and noticeably fake looking. Considering this is a live action film, there's an extremely heavy burden on the CGI and visual experience as a whole to deliver something spectacular, and the best way to describe Beauty and the Beast's visual offerings would be inconsistent. There are scenes that are going to completely blow you away, and everything is the greatest CG work ever done, and then some others that look like they're straight out of a video game. The Beast himself is the perfect example of this. Generally, I think he looks pretty well constructed, but there are times where he interacts with the environment and other characters in ways that just look and feel a little awkward. I also think the actual alive items in the mansion are pretty well crafted for the most part. I think they actually have some life to them, and not just because they're all awesomely voice acted, which they are, but because they're pretty nicely crafted from a technical perspective. I do think that part of the reason I was disappointed with the quality of this visual experience is because I was expecting this film to at the very least live up to the standards set by The Jungle Book back in 2016, but it just never quite gets there, not consistently at least. So speaking of the acting, I think it pretty much follows suit. Emma Watson is okay in this movie. She's not that great, she's not that bad, she's okay. Sometimes she really steals the show, and other times she's super underwhelming. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure that she was the right choice for this role. While I do think she is a good actress, I'm not sure that she's Belle. She just never 100% felt like Belle to me. It could be her accent or really just the personality that she delivered that just felt sort of separate from the original Belle. But I did really enjoy all the CGI characters from the mansion that were all voice acted in a very lively and fun way, especially the romantic and funny Lumiere played by Ewan McGregor, because our Obi-Wan has done it once again, but this time as a candlestick or candelabra, whatever. So the other characters we spend time with are the bad guys of sorts, and that's Gaston, played by Luke Evans, and his sidekick LeFou, played by Josh Gad. I thought Josh Gad was pretty funny and interesting overall, but I thought that Luke Evans was pretty one note in this one. To make another Jungle Book comparison, part of what made the Jungle Book such a great story was its extremely strong villainous presence in Shere Khan. Gaston is quite the opposite, however. He's just a very flat character that really doesn't have anything interesting about him, and I think Luke Evans is a good actor because there are some moments where he does well as Gaston, but there are others where it just feels too repetitive. There's not really a lot here that's all that interesting or memorable for 2017. I think the character is just sort of dry. Something else you're probably curious about is the music. Well, sometimes it's absolutely beautiful and reminds me of the original, and others it's just firstly mixed sort of unusually, and secondly doesn't feel like it fits at the point in the film when it's used. Sometimes it's really difficult to actually hear the characters singing because they're drowned out by the very loud instrumental. This isn't always the case, but it happens a decent amount, and this is especially frustrating in a musical because its lyrics really relay crucial information about how the characters are feeling and what their next step is. So without it, you're just like, what's the point? But as a whole, the music is pretty good. The iconic ballroom dance scene is just as beautiful as I remember it, and that was the scene where Disney knocked it out of the park. So the last thing I want to touch on before we recap is the love story itself. I think the way that our two characters just sort of flip the switch and fall in love is very abrupt and forced. One second they can't stand the sight of each other, and then next they're like, oh well, I guess you're not so bad, I guess I kind of love you now. It's just like you go from A to Z so fast and it's just like, what? I think one big problem that this Beauty and the Beast has is that it really rides on that wave of nostalgia and not much else. There's updated visuals, some new actors, and a couple new plot details, but that's basically it. If this were a completely brand new film, the first Beauty and the Beast to ever exist, I'm not so sure the reviews out there, including this one, wouldn't be worse, because the whole time you're just riding the nostalgia train, but the film's not really offering much that's all that new or better than the first one for that matter. Nostalgia is their greatest asset. But with that said, I will give Disney credit that they absolutely nailed this ending. It's beautifully done and really hit me right in the feels. I think it really sweeps you up in a whirlwind of emotions and totally puts the finishing touches on this film in a very impactful way. I really think this ending made up for a lot of the other weaker points in this film because it all comes together in a very cohesive and climactic fashion that should definitely meet your expectations. But overall, Beauty and the Beast is a pretty okay film. I thought it had some beautiful visuals, some fantastic music, some solid acting from a great cast, and a spectacular ending. And the cons are all the inconsistencies in the first three things: visuals, music, and acting, and an over-reliance on nostalgia to do the heavy lifting. I'm gonna give Beauty and the Beast a 7.5 out of 10, and generally recommend you go see this one in theaters, whether you're an adult who enjoyed the original or you're a parent with kids. Either works. So did you guys see Beauty and the Beast yet? What did you think of it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you haven't, let me know why not. Also, let me know whether you love the original 1991 film or not, and your favorite classic Disney film. That should be a fun discussion. That's all for now though. This is WillFoxification signing off. See you in the next review.